Hello everybody and welcome to yet another ETF2L game here on Team Fortress TV. We're going to be bringing you TF2Easy versus the League of Shadows. My name is Bum. I've got Megalodon on the mic and I've got JMax on production. How are you doing today, Megalodon?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I'm excited, honestly, to see how the champions of TF2Easy are going to match up against the League of Shadows. League of Shadows being the up-and-comers in the division.
Yeah, this team is an interesting one. Probably one of the ones you'd expect to be making playoffs coming into the season, but from what we've seen so far out of... Oh, what's the team's name again? Do remind me. They upset TF2Easy last week, or Noob Panzer. That's the one. They've been very much impressing, and now it's looking like a tight race between 5 teams for these 4 playoff slots. And we'll have to see if the League of Shadows can mimic Noob Panzer's success and try and sneak in some points to get ready for that playoffs.
Yeah, and do you think it's possible that they're going to be able to accomplish such a feat? I mean, with TF2Easy, they really got dismantled by New Panzer. It seemed that the New Panzer players really did their homework, and the soldiers of Nubby and Josh just were unable to get anything done. And as a result, they just keep. It was kind of a frustrating game for them, it must have been, because you had Nubby and Josh just banging their heads against the wall. They couldn't find the picks they wanted to. They couldn't make any plays. It just seemed that New Panzer completely figured them out, and I don't know, maybe League of Shadows. They did lose Snake Quarter, which is going to be our first map for tonight against Top 5 Rocket. So they're going back to the drawing board here, going back to the basics on this map, and I'm not sure, they need something different. They need a different ingredient if they want to beat the better team here of TF2Easy, I believe.
Yeah, and it was impressive to see Noob Panzer not only getting that upset, but the way in which they did it, not allowing TF2Easy to get a single round on that map. It wasn't just some cheese backcap that won them the map. They were dominant. TF2Easy were really locked out throughout the entire thing. And we'll have to see if League of Shadows can manage that. Of course, obviously, TF2Easy also must have had to have a chat about that game. They'll have stepped up their game after that's happened to them. This is a team that, obviously, being at the very, very top of TF2, they know how to sort out these kind of problems when they do get upset mid-season. Whereas League of Shadows, they don't have the kind of experience, they don't have the 6 Prem winners that TF2Easy has on their side of the equation.
Yeah, and just looking at the player matchups, I mean, if you look at the dynamic between TF2Easy's players and the players on League of Shadows, there's a very clear, as you said, you have a core of players there that have played together in Prem, won at least one Premiership title together, have played many seasons all together. And the ones I particularly want to talk about are the dynamic between Flick and June. June has one Premiership season under their belt, and Seeds and Moralexi. I mean, if you just compare these two combos, then you would favour Seeds and Moralexi pretty much every single time, right? 9 out of 10 times you would assume that combo would be fairly comfortably winning that. But yeah, anything can happen here. Maybe they've learned a thing or two from Top 5 Rocket. I don't know. It all comes down to their performance, though, in the moment, and whether they can deliver.
Yeah, and I mean, you pointed out particularly the scouts and the medics versus each other, but you can really extrapolate this out to any 1v1 on the server. TF2Easy has the upper hand on all of them, I'd say. Zoe is kind of a beast, might be one to look out for, but other than that, I'd say I favor everyone on TF2Easy just straight up in DM and obviously their achievements.
All right, so I think it's about time that we quickly run down the rosters. I'll start with the champions, TF2Easy. First off, we've got Moralexi and Gazi on the scouts. We have Josh and Nubby soldiers, Nasboy on Demoman, and Seeds on medic.
Yeah, so a very dominant force. Obviously, Josh coming back after last season. They had Syl managed to take the W home with him. But after Syl has moved on to greener pastures, Josh has come back into play. So obviously, this lineup is nothing to be sniffed at. Whereas League of Shadows, on the other hand, I'll run down this roster here. We've got Flick and Zoe on scouts. Zoe making the move from a pretty surprisingly good season with Forskings that I don't think many people expected. We've got Scar and Slash on the soldiers. Scar, you'll remember from the lower of Prem kind of teams, like Yak's teams and what was it called? Oh, I'm not going to remember team names of 8th place teams. The one with Drezzo and Junu and Vori, that lot. And I believe it's Slash's Premiership debut, so keep an eye on what Slash can do. And then, of course, Delhi, pretty beast demo, and June on medic coming over from Verdas Vist ist Doof last season.
Yeah, and I think one thing about the soldiers here, Slash and Scar, very talented soldiers, but will they be able to stand up to Josh and Nubby? That is the question. And again, on paper, you would favour TF2Easy here, but you know, they have solid fundamentals. I watched and casted their game versus the Czech team, and although the Czech team, the Street Devils, are at the lower end of Prem this season, I really use that as a test to see, you know, if these soldiers really know their stuff. And the way that Scar and Slash were playing together seemed really promising, to be honest. Slash having some really good moments on the flank.
Yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to watch this team at all yet this season, so I'm not really able to speak for Slash's soldier gameplay. I think I've played against him in lower divisions, but yonks ago, so I have no idea how he would match up to Josh and Nubby, but I very much doubt there'd be much positive to say in that matchup. In particular, Josh and Nubby are just two of the greats in Prem right now, of course, as you have to be if you win the division. And I just don't think that League of Shadows are going to really have the strat book tonight to be able to take down TF2Easy. We do have some funny maps to play. We've got Snakewater and Granary. Granary is sometimes a bit of a question mark for the less experienced teams. It's kind of like Product in that regard, where you kind of expect the team that's been together longer to have it more figured out. It's not just a pug map that's in every season and everyone plays all the time. So it's gonna be a more difficult uphill battle for League of Shadows, I would assume, on that map than maybe it is on Snakewater, where it's a very simple map. Everyone kind of knows what you're doing. There's one real mid that you can actually do. There's dry push potential into second that everyone's got down to a T pretty much now. So we'll see. We'll have to see how both these maps turn out.
Yeah, and I think with Granary as well, there's, unlike Snakewater, you only have a short window, a short opportunity to make things happen because it's just so spam heavy and the timings just need to be on point. And you would think that the more experienced team, better coordinated, the soldiers have better timings and therefore will be able to generate more openings for their team. But yeah, Snakewater, as you said, can be a bit of a slower pace, especially on last, and definitely potential for a lot of off-classing. I know that both teams like to switch, you know, pretty liberally between scouts and snipers and sometimes spy, but the thing that really aggravated Flick last official was going up against a certain Frenchman on sniper on product on and I believe Nubby, when he was playing against New Panzer, also busted out the sniper class on product and had a crazy performance. I think he was on a 10 kill streak on the final round before he died. So there might be something with Flick and snipers. It might be the bane of his existence. We're not too sure, but
I think it's just a thing with Flick and Frenchmen. He has a natural weakness to him. I mean, he lost to Yak and Charlie going double spy, so maybe there's just something about that nationality that doesn't quite sit right with playing against him.
yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, he's decided to, you know, he's decided to hoard some of the French talent on his own. I mean, he's managed to, keep a good relationship with Delhi and Scar from previous seasons, and obviously Slash, the new pickup.
Yeah, this team's much more French than I remembered, actually. There's so many Frenchies in Prem this season. It's a season where France probably outweighs England for once.
Yeah, and we've had that. It might be in part due to the fact that we had that French LAN. Maybe that's inspired some of the members of the French community to, join up for another season, because we have the Insomnia LAN that's coming up very, very soon, just a matter of months. And maybe that has ignited some of their passion for the game again. Maybe they want to, really try hard this season and keep the LAN hype going.
Yeah, and that is another interesting point to bring up. This being the LAN season, we thought last season was the LAN season, but Copenhagen eventually didn't happen. But this is the LAN season. Insomnia is going to be going ahead. The first LAN in 3 years. Everyone's going to be putting in so much effort to really grind their teams up in this season and try and take home the last online season before we get finally back into LAN. And I do believe tf2easy is going to be attending the LAN with this entire roster, whereas on the other hand, I don't think League of Shadows look like they'll be going. Whether or not my intel is right, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
As far as I'm aware, TF2Easy definitely going to LAN. And as you said, yeah, I'm not too sure on the situation with League of Shadows, but I'm sure that we'll see some of them there.
Yeah, I do think there were some recruitment posts out of a couple of them, so whether we'll see something like this iteration of the roster or some people on completely random different mixes, we'll have to wait until August to see. But TF2Easy are definitely not going to be slacking at all this season, whereas League of Shadows might not have the exact same grind set coming into it, as it doesn't seem like as much of a long-term project. So we are going to be going live in 30 seconds, guys. Let's see. Megalodon, do you have a prediction for the first map's score?
Well, I'm going to be optimistic and say that it will probably go the 30 minutes. I do see TF2Easy winning this comfortably, probably like a 4-1 or 4-2 situation here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree that TF2Easy are going to be taking this map. I don't even know whether I'll say that League of Shadows get a round. Let's be harsh. Let's say no rounds for League of Shadows. I think this is going to be dominant for Easy.
Well, let's see as we approach this first mid-fight. Nazboy and Deli trading spam here. Deli takes a big stick. He has to back out, and look at this hype bomb already by Josh. Gets straight onto Deli, takes him down, does trade his life in return, but there's a bit of a messy fight going on across the point, and League of Shadows have just managed to blob up together and resist the aggression of TF2Easy, chasing Seeds as well. It's only Nubby alive, and he's currently stuck in Saw.
Yeah, he does hit a nice direct, but June has made so much distance between her and Nubby. She's completely safe at this point. Nubby rotating around, just trying to steal some packs, turn some heads, jumps back onto Deli now, pops him up into the air. The air shot's not going to connect, and he does finally get taken down, but this is such a good and dominant start. But with everyone coming back from Nubby, that call might have been made. There's no presence on second, but no, it just seems like they're going to utilize this opportunity to put up some forwards traps and get their sentry nice and ready for the incoming last push. Second just getting capped up now.
Yeah, as we prepare for last, looks like Moralexi is going to be sniping on the left-hand side here, watching the shutter door as the Uber comes in. It's leading on Flick, and Deli gets juggled into the air. Sticks are still on the point for the side of Nazboy, and he actually gets Deli with a trap. We see the point being played by the two scouts of Flick and Zoe. Flick gets taken down by the spam of Nasboy. It's a salvage by Slash, but he just barely misses Seeds. That air shot would have been potentially huge. I don't think it would have been enough to kill him though. But nice effort to try and salvage that, but that last push, so many things going wrong at once, and Nasboy just having free spam on the point, it seemed.
Yeah, this is the real sort of situation where the teams that have just grinded out those last pushes so many times, like tf2easy, just never make mistakes there, whereas League of Shadows, on the other hand, unable to get any kills with their Uber, even dropping Deli from it, and just ending up losing 5v6 in a full Uber charge advantage. So letting that one slip from their hands so early could be devastating. It could be one of the few opportunities they actually get in this game to see the enemy last with such a great advantage. And instead, it's now tf2easy in the driver's seat. Josh has got the backup on, trying to spam up that damage and get it built. Nasboy also peeking through sword, just trying to knock these soldiers off the height. He's taking a lot of damage for it and actually just gets picked by Scar with that long-range rocket right at the end. So now is an opportunity for League of Shadows. Slash making his way through lower, and in fact it looks like it's going to be Scar from Saw that's leading it, and they are just slowing down. Scar jumps through now, two scouts straight shoot him down, and immediately it's back to tf2easy. See if they can just bust through Saw here.
Yeah, and they're making their way through now. Josh has jumped into Cheese and hitting good spam, but Deli is just denying this area here. But in comes Nubby from the flank and drops June. Two easy rockets there. Choke was just not being watched until it was way too late. Nubby was already on top of the medic. The banner being popped by Josh, but this is a pretty easy take for them, and with Seeds keeping their Uber charge, it's going to be a difficult one for League of Shadows to defend now.
Yep, June going down. Really, really unfortunate, and they don't even have the best sentry up. They've got one right outside the spawn door, but it's only going to be level 1 or 2. The Uber does come in already. They're taking it way forwards. They haven't got any kills with it yet, but the damage is huge onto Zoe. He gets a bow to keep himself alive, but the cap is already coming in. Slash can't block it in time. Flick can though, gets a frag, but it's not going to be enough, and 1-0 to tf2easy.
Yeah, and that was just a matter of just not watching the door, and Nubby just punishes them for it, kills the medic, and Josh keeping his banner as well. It was just such a difficult challenge for them to overcome on that last. As we head into this next mid, going to be watching Deli, and we'll see what League of Shadows do this time. Last mid they were successful playing by their own choke, playing very, very passively. Deli just laying down a few carpets on the ground, trying to shrug off this aggression as Gazzy's already made his way into lower. Nasboy takes down Scar, who tried to bomb across the point. Slash does eventually find Gazzy on that flank, but the position from League of Shadows is really bad. They're just stuck in Saw, and look at Nasboy and Josh just waddles across the point and picks two. Incredible stuff there. We're still seeing a bit of a fight on the mid point. League of Shadows are trying to see if they can get any more picks, but it's not going to be successful in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if League of Shadows should have even tried to come back in there. Scar does have a hiding spot on the lower pack. No one's cleared it at all. He has a flank here. This is an opportunity for Scar, but does he know it? He's going to hear the rocket jumps going past him, so now he knows. He's bombing in onto second. Seizes all alone in Cheese. No one's with Seeds at all. No one's with him at all. He forces. That is such a mistake. Everyone just leaves Seeds all alone up in Cheese there, and he gets a free force from Scar. Nice hiding after the mid-fight to be able to pull that one out of the bag. They are going to be peeking into last, just trying to chip down anything they can, try and make an entry for themselves with Scar still down, and they've just managed to bust this right side for free. Flick going down, Slash going down as well. Josh is farming the spawn door, gets 2 more frags. How have tf2easy turned this around? They're going to be taking the round. It's 2-0. If just Zoe goes down here, which eventually they will, tf2easy somehow turn around that terrible moment into a round.
That was just Gazzy and the two soldiers on the flank there. They completely ripped apart that defense. They didn't give them any chance to breathe. It was just phenomenal to see the two soldiers bombing on that right side. Gazzy there to follow up, and that was one of my main criticisms last time, is that when they were playing against Witness Gaming, Gazzy just not working with his soldiers as much as we've used to see in previous, but proving it like he can today. As we go into next mid, Josh with a high bomb gets onto Deli again. We saw that bomb on the first mid working out again. Slash tried to bomb into towards Saw, but they're not really finding too much. They do get seeds, but nothing more that's going to really turn the tide of this midpoint. But June did live throughout all of this, and I do see Josh on second here. He's going to be pressuring the leaving medic and Gazzy.
I mean, Gaz already got June. June failed the movement tech. She couldn't jump up onto the fence, and immediately Gaz punished that. He saw she had failed the first jump. She didn't have time to get up there again on the second try. Gaz just rushes her down, and that is terrible for League of Shadows.
They just got split, yeah. The Gazzy and Josh. They're working together really well here. And this is what we're used to seeing from tf2easy.
Yeah, so once again, League of Shadows on the back foot. There is a 30% advantage for tf2easy. They're just going to be waiting to get that up. And it looks like they'll probably try and take this, as June is just building so far back. There's actually space to get in right now if tf2easy do want to, and Josh is going to be the first one jumping through, making space, taking a lot of damage. Baits the bomb from Scar, though, who lands on Nasboy's stickies, and that's a nice opening pick. Now they are going to start actually picking up the momentum. Josh bombs forward into another sticky trap, so both soldiers falling for that demo bait. And Gaz is just sneaking all the way in behind. In June's position, they could really get caught off. Deli, in fact, will be Gaz's chosen victim, and he'll go down almost instantly. The Uber is also out from League of Shadows first. tf2easy have a much better Uber here if they even opt to use it at all, but there's no force. 100% advantage into last will be the call. And this looks worse and worse for League of Shadows.
Yep, no projectile in that Uber, no force there for League of Shadows. It was only hit scan there. Didn't have the firepower to secure that force, and now they're at pretty much a 60% disadvantage here. Uber comes through onto Nasboy. They're already locking down the left spawn. That's the heavy rotating now, and they managed to bust out fairly easy here, the League of Shadows soldiers, and they're still defending this really nicely. They've taken a side, and Scar does jump a little bit too deep, but manages to stick with his medic, take the heals, and together they've managed to combine this damage. And with Zoe coming out of the spawn, surely they should be able to clean up the rest of this, but it's still put in time by Gazzy. He's being a real menace now, but does end up trading. That's a good trade there. But it's only Nasboy left on the point, but overall, the good picks from the side of tf2easy. Seems like they just, for the moment, want to just play the spam, don't overextend. They might have something to work with here.
Gaz very nearly just made the play of the season there. Like, the amount of pressure they get just from Gaz and Josh recommitting there. Gaz rotated all the way from the big door side to the shutter side, runs in and kills June off the back of that fight. That gives them another opportunity with this 100% ad to go again, and he also got so much cap time and lived for so long that it made it so difficult for League of Shadows. They've got nothing set up and they've just capped it straight away off of the repush. That is how much cap time Gazzy had all alone versus 3 players on the point. He very nearly salvaged the round out of nothing before, but he just gets them it a minute later anyway, off the repush with the Uber advantage. What a huge play. 3-0 now for tf2easy, and it's looking ever more hopeless for League of Shadows to get into this game.
Yeah, the flank of tf2easy just completely disrupting League of Shadows' rhythm, being very frustrating to play against here. As the next mid, just going to see spam being traded. Both scouts have stacked the same side on League of Shadows, but they still take a bit too long killing up Josh here as the aggression comes from their own soldiers, but it wasn't followed up. Both scouts weren't in a position, and Zoe does eventually get the kill onto Gazzy, and Nelly with a nice pipe as well to take down Nubby. Nasboy has been caught in the kitchen area, a little bit split from the scout of Moralexi, and it's now 2 scouts versus scout and a demo man that is opted to rejoin the fight, it seems. The Ubers has been called by both medics. It's going to be an exchange here on mid. Who is going to make the first move? And it's June picking up the scout. Excellent arrow there. The mid fight is still going on though. tf2easy, they don't want to give this up. They have the Uber. Only just now meeting up with Gazzy though means that they have to forfeit the point.
Yeah, they give that up once the point finally gets capped. They know that those spawners are coming from a much closer place than their own. So The bomb is in from Slash already into second. They're just trying to keep this momentum going, but it's been completely stumped. Ghazi nearly gets the frag onto the demo man there, but it's failed. Slash gets taken down as well. Nubby and Josh both behind right now, could pincer from the back, but Zoe has his eyes on that, spamming Josh down in lower. He's going to get taken down by Deli eventually. June's still managing to hold onto the Uber, but he has to fight off from all sides now. Nubby, last man alive. And that's very, very good from League of Shadows to manage to hold on there. Both of those scouts doing so much work. They have 100% ad. They're just running this straight in. All focus fire needs to be onto this heavy. They've used out the Uber, but the spawns are coming in any second now. They need to kill this heavy faster. They do finally get it down, but Josh is here now. The bombs are in, and League of Shadows finally get around on the board.
And I believe it was one of the soldiers, I think it was Scar, he was on Spy and he actually dropped Seeds backing onto the pack and just backed up straight into the knife of Scar, who just got an easy backstab drop. And that's going to bring League of Shadows back into this game, and they really need to pull something different out to claw these rounds back. And I believe it's possible if they continue to do this, this creative kind of play that they're trying now. And the mid fight slow, both soldiers bombing the saw point for League of Shadows. They already get pick onto Ghazi and Josh going down as well, so that's two key picks there that League of Shadows have. It just seems like they're a bit split. They have half their team across the point, and Deli and June are playing a bit more tentative on the point, but they managed to regroup now and they have control of the saw area. But these bombing players, Nasboy and Nubby, they do kill Nasboy, but Nubby is still alive with his scout, and Uber is eventually counter Uber's popped onto Flick, and he needs to be careful not to chase this too far. Into Saw, June is currently alone on mid, and yeah, here comes the bomb from the soldier. He hits one rocket, but the second one not quite connecting, and June is managing to leave Saw. The chase is on, but they're just going to run into Scar there. The insurance policy
does not get anything. It was a worthwhile attempt. There's no reason not to just throw one in there while you're going to be capping up mid anyway. You've got the Ubercharge advantage, so a good attempt, but no June is found. And looks like League of Shadows are trying to make something happen off of this, but there's no Uber up yet for Seeds. You're not going to be able to get the force. You have to get the kill, if anything. Slash is just going to throw his life away for it. Zoe's going to go down here too by looks things on the flank. Moralexi's going to take him down. Flick is very, very low as well. And the Uber is going to come up first for tf2easy. Either way, I don't really understand what the attempt is here. I guess dry pushing while the Ubers are out of the equation is okay, but it just looked like everyone was sacking one after the other for the med. There is a sack now from Nubby, who will take down June on last as well, making it all the more easy with the 100% advantage once again for tf2easy.
And with that one failed dry push, they now have to defend last once again with a full Uber disadvantage. And we've seen tf2easy push last. They've been very successful so far, and even when they didn't outright cap the point on the first try, they got their spawners and were able to pretty much engineer themselves another advantage off the back of that. And we're already seeing high ground being taken by Moralexi, and the two soldiers bombing it in. You expect to see Ghazi playing the point, but he actually does die to the stickies there. Deli doing a great job of defending there. Hits one pipe onto Nasboy. Flick with the follow-up and with the kill onto Seeds too. No real early point presence from tf2easy.
And it's a great clutch for them in the end though, because even though League of Shadows were managing to get out of the spawn, they weren't getting any distance from the spawn at all. They were all just hiding back in that back left area, pretty much waiting for the cap to come in, and just right in the nick of time, someone must have made a snap call. Everyone go forwards right now, because all three of the remaining players run forwards together and just bunch up and get all of those frags. Now Nubby is what they have to look out for, as Scar actually goes down, which is going to slow down this push with no flank in play. Nubby on sniper as well. They're going to come out from the top now. Josh is going to get checked here, but wins the fight against Zoe nonetheless. The Uber is out, and now they have to worry about Josh being behind the Uber, Ghazi being behind the Uber. They get a frag onto Moralexi. They might get Nubby here as well. Flick is chasing deep, but doesn't manage to finish off the frag. And there's a 3 times back cap. This Scout and Soldier on second are going to get it first unless this block comes in. Scar is going to try it, but it's not fast enough. Gaz also fighting on second. Josh is going to get taken down by Zoe, but really, they've done all the damage they needed to. They've stopped that mid cap coming through, and they've given their team a massive ad here.
Yeah, and perhaps a bit of an overchase by a flick, but they're able to stave off the attempt in the end. But as you said, a lot of time has been wasted, and they've only got 60%, and Seeds does have their Uber. Seems they want a pressure for this force though, so this time they're deciding to use choke, but they're too close, and yeah, maybe they thought. Yeah, I'm not sure why they were that close, but they just get punished for it. I mean, tf2easy, once they see that opportunity, they're just gonna completely crush you for it, and they spent no time wasted doing that, and Seeds with an Uber advantage going to last, player advantage with late spawns on the side of Flick and Zoe, is going to be a rough one.
Yeah, this is already going to be over before it's even started. Josh has some time on point to start it off. Deli now the only one really to save it. The scouts are coming in, but there's just so much damage, so many players left alive for tf2easy. They don't even need to get that Uber to win this round. And 3 rounds ahead with 12 minutes left, it's very, very difficult to come back. In fact, no team ever has from my database. This is looking horrible for League of Shadows. They have to do something, and they have to do it immediately. We need back-to-back, pretty much flawless rounds if they want points here on Snakewater.
I think it's all down to how the soldiers play on this mid, though I do believe we have a pause.
Okay, so League of Shadows is going to win this round in like 1 minute 20, and this is a tactical pause because tf2easy lost it so horrifically that they're on tilt.
You know, I could believe it for a second there. You know? If they won this round, then it'll be a 4-2 scoreline, and then although 2 rounds is comfortable, it's not necessarily something that you'd want to think about during the game where you just want to end it. You want to get that. You want to get the first to 5 rule, and you just want to close the map out. No garbage time. You know, no fooling around. But this is an interesting time to pause, I think, because you have that question of whether, you know, the mid is successful, or is it just one of those, you know, moments where a player just disconnects and it has no relevancy to what's actually happened here. But I would probably go with the former here. I feel like if a player disconnected this late in the game, especially if it was League of Shadows, I think the game would still be running, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, it at least means that League of Shadows hasn't lost in the next 80 seconds, right? Which can only be good for them. There is still 12 minutes for them to play with to try and get 4 rounds. Of course, with the new config, if tf2easy gets around at any point during that, the comeback is just over. We play first 5 now. There's no clear by 5 win difference rule. Obviously, if they were to be getting to 5-1 anyway, it really, really wouldn't matter. That would be definite trash time. I don't think we would ever see a 6-5 comeback from League of Shadows for that one. So, yeah, League of Shadows still in the game, but just barely. Their fingernails are clinging on to the cliff edge.
Yeah, and it's quite a lengthy pause as well. But it's nothing that we're not used to, especially when it comes to, you know, LAN season, especially when it comes to LAN. Long pauses, long delays, it's what we're used to here, so it's nothing really new. I would say that going into Granary from Snakewater, you know, we did see some good moments from the soldiers of tf2easy, and I'm sure they're going to carry this momentum through onto the Granary regardless of the outcome of this map, because Snakewater is definitely not your typical soldier map, and Granary is where soldiers rule the roost. As far as the demo man, they've been quite equal so far. Nasboy, he's had his moments, but he's not really, you know, he's not really, at least for me, giving me the confidence that he is currently the best demo man in the division, right? Like, I feel like we need to see more from Nasboy, but I could be wrong in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, no one's really had the opportunity to stand out so far this map because it just has been pretty dominant for tf2easy. Obviously, we've seen some solo plays from the likes of Scar getting that force onto seeds, but I've never seen a play with less impact on the actual game, like from what we expected that to do, given it's a force on a last hold from what would have been a full ad. They just managed to convert that last push anyway. So there's the only two people who've really made plays so far, I'd say, would be Ghazi and Scar, but overall it's just the team of tf2easy just dismantling League of Shadows here.
Yeah, and it's just so difficult when you're up against one of the top teams, probably the favourites to enter the grand finals this season. We have seen them take an upset though to New Panzer, and did suggest that it could be possible that League of Shadows could take a point or two, perhaps a map. Though,
yeah, although I do think that showing from Noob Panzer showed more about the strengths of Noob Panzer rather than the weaknesses of TF2Easy, because Noob Panzer managed to almost replicate it versus Witness with a very close map in their Week 3 game. So we could have realistically seen Noob Panzer take maps from both of the top two teams, and obviously there's something to be said for Noob Panzer being underestimated by both of those top two teams, and even us ourselves as the casters, I was not putting Noob Panzer up there with the respect they have pretty much proven they've deserved at this point. And I don't think League of Shadows will be replicating that success versus either of the top two teams, at least given what we've seen so far. But the pause finally does come out. We've got 12 minutes 30 still in play, and here we go. They're just trying to fight for this mid-fight. We've just started a new round. Slash bombing in, does get taken down very low, jumps backwards. There's a repause. Probably someone has just managed to connect back to the server.
tension is building now.
Yeah.
This is a very long mid-fight. Half captured for League of Shadows, so maybe our prediction for them winning this mid and perhaps...
Well, I don't think it's actually that captured. The pause messes with it. If someone's standing on it when you get paused, I think it's like maybe 10% captured with Deli on it here.
I mean, they had the point time. They have the presence on the point. They have the scouts on the high ground. The positioning definitely favours them. So you don't know at the end of the day. It's looking good for them so far.
Can we get a review on Hempus Noob Panzer real quick? What do you think of that player?
Hempus from Noob Panzer?
Yeah.
Good player. Good deathmatch abilities for sure. Excited to see what he brings in the future.
Nice. There you go, Hemp. You can clip that. I don't have much more to talk about in this map. Apparently both teams are having issues on this server. I've been seeing Josh lagging throughout almost the entire time. It does look rough for him. He's been like bombing in, teleporting back up into the air and just getting chipped down by scouts. So I don't know whether he's one of the players having issues, whether he's disconnected. I have no intel on the scenario, so...
Yeah, and there's nothing really more to be said on the matter, as we can only keep speculating, and for as long as we can do that, you know, we're all here to watch a game of TF2 here, fast-paced sixes game, and I do hear that it is Josh that's having the issues.
Oh, what an easy prediction. Oh wow, apparently there's 3 players having issues. So Josh and Gaz are out for TF2Easy, and a League of Shadows player is having problems as well. Yeah, so we'll keep you updated, I suppose, if we actually learn anything. Instant unpause, instant repause. Let's go, man. 3 in a row.
Yeah, we just saw a couple frames there pass as nothing really changed. Yeah, it's a weird one, I must say. It's a first for me, but it looks like the mid-fight does resume now, as League of Shadows are on their side of the point. With Daddy going across now, Gazzy does get picked off, but yeah, I was expecting this to this to happen. It's another repause.
I don't think I've seen 4 in a game before. Genuinely, I think this is the first time I've seen 4 pauses so close together. Apparently Seeds has just crashed as well now, so there's been at least 4 different players with issues so far for these 4 different pauses.
Yeah, this is quite insane, to be fair. I don't think I've seen a game where we've seen this many pauses in a row, but there you go. There's another 5 frames of action as a reward for waiting this long.
Can we, right, let's everyone tf2ify some chat copy pastas and we'll review them. That's a good one from Mac. Okay, the game's on pause. We're actually playing. Josh is finally getting taken down on top of mid. Nubby's made it his way behind, but it looks like League of Shadows are going to be taking this one, at least for now. There's Seeds way out with Nasboy back into lobby, so both teams still have full Uber.
Yeah, and League of Shadows are peeking their way onto the second point. They managed to get it almost for free here. A little bit of resistance from tf2easy, but before we can see what happens, we have a slight pause here. Maybe time to review some of the comments from Twitch chat.
Yeah, 6v6, 6 pauses. Right, unpause again. Here we go. Slash bombing in. Gets some damage onto Nas. Gets the force out of Seeds as well. June has a slightly better Uber. He's going to be chasing down Morale. They have to flash here. It's a lot better Uber for June. They've even managed to pin Morale in, but they don't manage to capitalize on that frag. And in fact, it looks like no one's actually managed to make it to the fight with these 2 scouts. I don't know whether that's due to issues or they're just dealing with Nubby. But looks like Nubby is finally... Oh, never mind. He's managed to slip away once again.
Yeah, I'm seeing players just... Flick is currently just airborne and not moving, so is Zoe. I'm having a bit of a tough time watching this, to be fair.
Yeah, this is where the first pause happened. The first out of 6. We've got 5 more to see, guys. Yeah, so now tf2easy called for a pause here. This is where the second pause happened. And the third pause when they got another player in. Okay. We're catching up.
Yeah, something about the Source TV, it doesn't like it when you pause the game this amount of times. There's a few more coming in.
Oh, so Seeds just crashed. They're going to give him Swords so he gets his Uber back. But he's on default loadout because the item servers are down. This is horrible. This is the worst shit I ever seen in an official, man. They can't give him the Uber in time. And if they build the Uber normally, it's going to be even harder for League of Shadows to come back.
Wait, he's got... Currently says on my HUD he's got 80%. Wait, it's reset. He's got 0% now. Yeah, very... Okay, so my HUD's currently saying he's on 20%.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, he switched loadouts.
Okay. So maybe they were pausing for the item servers to come back up so that they could get the swords, so that they could continue the game as fast as possible without having to build a whole Uber and run the clock down. So this is the most fair we can have it for League of Shadows. Looks like Nubby is still in behind. Scar's gone down to a trap. And maybe they've forgotten about Nubby. It's been so long since they've last seen him, but he's just going to bomb out to last instead.
Yeah, and 8 minutes 30 on the clock. 2 minutes 50 on the round timer. Going into Snake Lost and Nasboy, that's a really good pick. They need to do something of this if they want to have a chance of getting a force or something done on last here, but it seems like they're quite slow to do so. Nasboy is going to get his spawn. He's going to have stickies on the doors. Gazzy, or...
I mean, this is just so difficult to come back from when you're so much time and so many rounds down, because you have to get this sentry down somehow, otherwise that just happens to Scar. Like, you can't just bomb in and hope that a solo sack works when this sentry gun is up. You have to put all your focus on lower here. You have to spam that sentry down before you can do anything. And all this time just running out makes it impossible for League of Shadows. Nubby is sacking in, gets onto June, doesn't force off the Uber, but Morale is taking a wide peek and doesn't get the shot onto June, but does take down Slash instead. So There is a fight going on in lobby.
Oh,
Zoe
no.
and Flick double up to get Morale and Nasboy down. Now, if they can deal with this sentry, it's going to be easy pickings here. Gazzy is on Soldier with the backup on. They're just going to use onto Gaz, takes the Uber forwards onto June. League of Shadows have a better Uber, but the spawners really, really favor tf2easy, and the spawners are here. So, after all of that, there's been no progress made.
And they really had an opportunity there with the aggressive play into lobby. They did really well to punish that, but they just couldn't follow through. The sentry gun standing strong, and Scar with the Spire gets 2. He gets Nasboy and Gazzy, although I think it's Josh. My heart's a bit broken here.
He gets Gazzy on Soldier. They have off-classed, I guess, because of Josh's weird net situation. But Flick is just running onto the point. Slash is stopping anyone from blocking it with the bomb. And here we go, finally. 4-2 is the score. There's 6 minutes left to get 2 more rounds to at least get some points on the board for League of Shadows. And I mean, with that many pauses, with this many issues, maybe there could be some frustration, some tilt to take advantage of if you're League of Shadows, but it's all purely speculative at this point. This has just been a crazy official. So well, we do get into another mid.
Maybe that is the special ingredient I was talking about earlier. They need some kind of server problem to really distract the tf2easy guys, and June is just getting swarmed on this mid. Survives for a very long time. However, League of Shadows, the positioning that they were playing in the choke point not working out for them this time, and as I say that, Deli just walks straight across and pipes down Seeds. They're just making it really scrappy here. Another pipe onto Moralexi as well. So it's all comes down to if they can regroup as a team and retake this point. June has switched onto the crits Krieg, so it's been a while since I've seen Deli on crits, if I've ever seen it before, but I don't know.
Oh, I've seen it before, indeed, but Nubby hiding behind in lower does pick up 2 frags on the pack. He's going to get taken down as he bombs back on second, but June does have this crits advantage. As you mentioned, there is a Deli debut of the season clip of him just going nuts with a crits Krieg, if I do remember.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Yeah, that was insane. That was on this map as well. That was from Sorum, I believe. Yeah, so I've been reminded, thanks to Bumfries, that Deli is actually a beast with this kind of setup here with the Crits Krieg, and he's going to do it from Catwalk. Nasboy's traps above the door, though. Yeah, he's just going to get deleted, and it's so difficult to push Catwalk. Those traps are so difficult to defuse there. I mean, the door is so easy to hold down at this level. The demo's always going to have sticks there, more or less, and you're just taken out as he approaches the door, and League of Shadows are going to be now retreating with full disad with this Crits Krieg. tf2easy have this Uber to play with, and it looks like if they manage to execute this correctly, which they have done in the past, this is going to be around for them here.
Yeah, and even if they fail it, we need League of Shadows to come back instantly, or it's over anyway, just by nature of the clock. Morale trying to tease the point just a little bit, gets forced out. Nubby's going to fall as well. Nasboy getting chased from lower. He's not left with his team. Slash might be able to get this kill, and he does. So now League of Shadows running this one forwards. They still have the Crits Krieg. Deli's going to bomb deep. Does manage to sticky out Josh. He's unable to get away with his life. This is the exact momentum they need, but they need to use this Crits Krieg a lot better than they did last time. They need to make sure that trap doesn't spite them once again.
Yeah, Nasboy late spawner, so they don't have the trap to worry about right now, and they're taking their time, though. They are allowing him to set up a little bit. Crits is going to come through from kitchen, it seems, but June is holding on to it. The Uber is now in the hands of Seeds. They've completely missed their opportunity to use that advantage, but tf2easy a bit too slippery, it seems. They just couldn't get the right angle onto that medic, and Seeds, yeah, he's just too far away. Teddy tries to snipe him with those sticks, but he's just not getting anything, not even getting the force. Gazzy does go down to Zoe, and the force comes out from Zoe in the end. That's really good for him to get that pick and the force there from the front, and it looks like they're still trying to put up a bit of a resistance here on League of Shadows. They have the high ground on this midpoint. They are missing a scout and a soldier, so that is absolutely no flank for them right now. Scar spawning in 6 seconds. Zoe just spawning in
We
forwards.
got to see League of Shadows rotate instantly. They have to be re-pushing in right now. There's 2 minutes left. They don't have time to sit around. They need to be using the crits the second they get it. And here they come towards middle. This is the last chance they'll get in this official. It's on to Delhi once again. The sticky is out. It's on to Seeds. The drop comes in. Delhi moving forwards gets another frag onto Nasboy. All the recollapses coming out of TF2Easy now. Zoe does clean up a bunch of kills. It's just Josh on the back lines, but we need to see all pedal to the metal non-stop now, and even then I don't even think it's enough. This time is so difficult to play with. Exactly 2 minutes left on the clock to get 2 rounds. I don't know if it's possible, Megalodon.
I mean, yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, Nasboy, sorry, read that push like a book. He knew they were going to go through Saw because of the failed catwalk, and he had that trapped up. The trap didn't kill Scar, however, and that led to the kill on the medic there, as we do see League of Shadows. It's a bow against the clock, and they already find one pick. More Alexa trying to catch them by surprise, but does end up going down. Nubby as well, trying to hold the door. It looks like now League of Shadows, they have, if there was an opportunity to go into last, it would be now.
Yeah, they want to go while the Ubers are down if they can, but it's going to be up any second now. They do just bust the shutter door, as you mentioned. Josh bombing behind, doesn't get the frags he needs. Delhi's doubled up on the point, tripled up in fact, and they do take the round. 1 minute left. We need to see the fast.
There is a chance, but they need to essentially wipe them here because on mid, and they need to do it in a fashion that we've probably never seen before, especially in Premiership. But who knows? Maybe they can change history and be that team that came back from Snakewater with only 30 seconds, but I'm not sure here. They need to. Looks like they've already got a soldier bombing fast into Saw. Look at TF2Easy. They're already positioned on the catwalk, ready to leave if things get hairy, and they're just playing from the high ground. Yeah, it was a desperation play just to, as I said, they needed that wipe if they were able to have any chance of getting this round, even if it was, regardless if it was possible or not. And they do fail in the end, but that's a valiant attempt, and they don't get any points from this. But
Yeah.
that was as close as it could have been. I mean, it does say something about the game as a whole. I mean, the fundamentals of League of Shadows are definitely, not there. They had a bit of time to go back to the drawing board after their loss to Top 5 Rocket, but it seemed they tried to almost reinvent the wheel with the dry pushes that they were trying, and they didn't work out. They didn't stick to their bread and butter, and
if they had just converted that very first last push, they had a last push ready to go with full ad in the first minute of the game. If they can convert those kind of situations with the certainty that the top teams can, this would be a very different game indeed. Although I do have to say, I'm very glad that they lost that last mid fight so convincingly, because if they had won it and then timed out on pushing into last, that would have felt so unfair, because they could have won in a situation like that if they hadn't have had to give Seeds his Uber back. So thank God something like that didn't happen, and we had to have a whole admin discussion about who the crashers favored or whatever. But yes, well done to TF2Easy in the end, able to cling on to their lead. And you can see the logs up on the screen now.
All right, so big damage from Delhi. He did have that crit streak on him for the latter portion of the map. Good damage from Nasboy as well. Fairly high death rates though on the side of the Demoman here. 16 and 18 deaths. It's quite high. Also the deaths from the soldiers. Scar racking up 27 of those. Honestly, a very aggressive back and forth kind of. Well, even though it was looking one-sided for TF2Easy, in the end, we did see a good change in momentum, but regardless, we did see a lot of frags being traded out. It was non-stop action for the majority of it, and those mid fights were just crazy. Some of them just turned into complete DM fests, and you saw really unconventional strategies being employed, like Josh just waddling across the point, killing 2 players, and Delhi with just committing fully across the point. ahead of the rest of his team, just to take matters into his own hands and pick off seeds and really lay down that damage, that crucial damage. And
Dude, Josh has very good logs for someone who looks like a TF2 Halloween skeleton right now. Dude is literally moving at like 1 FPS and teleporting around the map and still managing to pull out a respectable log. He has been having such a rough game. We'll see if we do end up switching servers or not here. It seems like both teams are just taking a while to see what they want to do. I'd be surprised to not see them switch after the amount of issues we've had.
Yeah, and there's probably a bit of downtime here as,
smoke break.
understandable, since you have to think of the the mentality of both teams are going to be, they're going to be feeling a bit, bamboozled by the end of this map alone. So it's definitely reasonable to have a bit of a break here before Granary.
We're an hour past start time and we've just finished our first map.
Yeah, so
well, I will say this looks positive for League of Shadows because they were getting back into it at the end of the game. It looked almost unwinnable from the very start. TF2Easy went up 2 rounds very, very early after League of Shadows beefed that very first last push of the game. But League of Shadows managed to turn it around in the end and gave us maybe not a win, but a very close game on that first map. So do you have a bit more hope in them for Granary coming up, or do you think TF2Easy are going to be back on form?
It's going to be very, very tough for them on Granary because it favours the team with the more experience because it's an older map, and although we've seen some changes for it over time, it's more or less the same dynamic. If anything, it was originally a map that just favoured the explosive classes entirely. Now it's been more scout friendly and the doorways have been opened up ever so slightly, but the doorways are still so there's such a small window of opportunity to create create openings for your team on this map, and it really does favor the more coordinated and experienced team, especially one with the soldiers that have the best resumes, and TF2Easy soldiers definitely have that to boast. And however, the way the first map went, I do feel like it is possible if League of Shadows employs some sort of crazy strategy that we haven't seen before to really throw off TF2Easy. I do see them actually getting some momentum here, but I don't know how likely that is.
Yeah, and I mean, if we talk just score-wise, it's always a closer map because it's a slower map. You have to travel just physically further to win a round out on this map, and there's more opportunities for a stalemate. Obviously, people meme about LoL Granary 7 CP instead of 5 CP because you got to get through Yard. That's one of the things that is going to be trickier, both on this 5-minute rule set, because you might capture Yard, and that is pretty much a point in its own right, but not for the timer. It's not. You still are going to have to get to second, or the enemy team's going to have to get back to mid. Otherwise, the reset is going to come in. And just also a 4-3 that is that close with very little time left on a map like Snakewater might end up being a golden cap just because fewer rounds really happen on Granary on average. Might end up seeing a 2-2 or 1-1 at the end of this if both teams can pull out the same kind of level of play as we saw on the first map. So yeah, there is that experience factor that favors TF2Easy, but maybe the fact that just fewer rounds tend to happen in general might favor League of Shadows, especially if they can get an early start like they did last time. Just don't beef that last push, and you can have a comfortable 1-0, which is so good to have at the start of Granary.
Yeah, as you said, the stalemates being a little bit longer, especially on mid to second, being a really rough one because you can, in theory, you can dry push, but it really depends on the enemy team's hold, and you really get a short window of opportunity to take the space and actually successfully get the ground required to force a favorable fight if you're the attacking team. And but yeah, with the longer stalemates, it could favor them because from what I've seen with the banners so far this season, it's been a bit of a talking point. Especially with Witness Gaming being very vocal on how they feel about it. Um, I haven't really seen I mean, Josh did use the banner last map, but I haven't really seen it being used in a game-changing way. You know, where it actually completely turns the tide of a team fight and opens up a round for a team. We've seen the damage resistance being useful at times, you know, keeping the soldiers alive, and um, it's all well and good, but I haven't really seen it, you know, the impact, the true impact and the true potential of what the banner could be if it's as OP as some players in the division have clearly voiced.
Yeah, I think so far we definitely haven't seen that in this official. There's definitely been value from it. Josh's team did win a fight more convincingly thanks to that banner and kept their own medic alive during it, which they might have had to force if the banner's not in there per se. But I think it's a fight they would have been winning anyway, as you say. So we haven't seen a game changing clutch banner moment. There are a couple of things to keep in mind about it, which I think is apparently the damage resistance it gives is kind of funky because it's based on the weapon's base damage. So, for example, the base damage of a rocket is always considered 90, even though a rocket can do between 48 and 112. So it calculates based on that, and therefore the resistance is like not always 30%. It can vary between like 10 and 60% or something. I don't know the exact maths. I've not actually looked into it at all, but I think that's one of the arguments against it. The other one being that it can affect your entire team at the same time, whereas the Uber is really you're putting it on 2 or 3 players maximum at a time. But I think it's kind of an overreaction to consider the backup being as good as an Uber or even close. Really, we'll have to see how it works out in the rest of the season because there are definitely people who have a pretty strong hatred against it, and there have been very narrow prem votes apparently to actually ban it, but with a not high enough margin for the admins to actually consider it worth doing. So we'll see. We'll see as the season goes on. More teams are going to be using them, I think, and they'll come to a consensus eventually.
Yeah, I mean, when I've previously played against the banner, it always seemed that when it was used, when the team already had, you know, they already closed the distance, and you know, when you would be in a fight at close range, especially as like a hit scan class as a scout, and the banner just gets popped on a full HP, 330 health soldier, um, it just takes so long to kill him. Like, you need to hit every single shot and more, it seemed, just to take out this single soldier. And at close range, a soldier being very effective. And just in certain close quarter scenarios, I can see like, you know, a banner being popped and someone going huge, but it's all really map dependent, and we haven't really seen like a solid meta really around the banners. Like, we've seen them being used here and there, but it hasn't been like an established part of the, you know, competitive outlook where, you know, we can expect to see X team using a banner at this moment and then Y team using a banner to counter. Or it seems like teams just use it when they want to, but like at this level these teams are already really strong enough to break the stalemates without it. I mean, we saw on the last map, TF2Easy had no troubles really creating opportunities without the banner, with their pressure and the spam, and the amount of space they were able to take was enough for them to just completely roll League of Shadows in some situations. So we'll
Yeah,
see it here what happens, but
I think the last time we saw banners being as prominent as they are today was probably in the Crowns versus Full Tilt or Seven versus Full Tilt era, where like just the slow play really forced teams to have to come up with counters for it, and the one way they could think of breaking stalemates consistently ended up being banners. So back in that era, we did see a lot of Syl and who's the other soldier? Mike using banners a lot, like double banners to try and break that. They used Kritzkrieg a lot during that LAN as well. But since then, no team has really been playing like Seven, so no team has really had to counter strat that hard against Seven. But TF2Easy have definitely been happy to use the banners as their main kind of stalemate breaker / offensive utility for the last few seasons now. And yeah, we'll see if there does seem to be no counter to it or whatever. I will say it's better now in this new format, because Sniper and Spy become a lot less useful when you don't have the time to just sit your Sniper on a door for a million years until he gets a pick. When you have to be proactive, you want to have your actual 6 classes ready to play the game, and the banner allows you to do that a lot easier.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case here, and the countdown has begun. We're heading into Granary, and it's been a hot minute since I've seen Nasboy play on this map, and I'm going to be watching him on this mid as he does start to roll out. It'll be interesting to see what route he takes. He's going to skip all the packs, it seems, but he does decide to go choke. So, yeah, he didn't have that much faith in his speed here on the rollout as he starts sticking up a pack, and it seems that Delhi rolled out through Garage trying to catch the players in the choke, but he didn't really find anyone there. As the 2 soldiers finally bomb through, but League of Shadows, they're not even on mid, they're just stuck in Garage. Delhi retreating. June didn't even get to mid, I don't think, and it's just a bomb from Nubby, and very weird, very strange. They didn't even get out of Garage, it seemed.
That's a game changer from June, managing to get that arrow onto Nubby. If Nubby manages to get the frag there, it's a very, very different situation entirely, but looked like Nubby didn't have the rockets loaded anyway to be able to pick up June after that, so the arrow is just a nice cherry on top, I suppose, and we're into our first even Uber situation between mid and yard here. Obviously, TF2Easy in control of mid.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Nubby went for a sack literally right now, to be fair. You can do that fancy speed shot from the garage area, and Nubby also... Oh, it looks like a high bomb's coming in this time, though. Josh comes straight in. Delhi gets taken down. Nubby with the follow-up. Josh was the decoy, but in the end, it was him that actually gets the frag and not Nubby. So, 2 picks going the way, and the soldier gets in through choke. 2 rockets. That's going to be seeds being forced, and they're not going to get much done with this Uber. They get some damage onto Zoe, but that's pretty much it. As the side of League of Shadows makes their way onto mid, trying to lock out the garage area, but you don't really want your
they spotted Nubby.
scouts to be doing that.
Nubby went behind during all of that and does get onto Delhi, but Delhi just manages to stay alive. Now this fight's so difficult. Delhi's rolling out with low HP. The refight is coming from the front. Gaz does force off the Uber of June, and they have almost no players left on mid. Josh is behind them. Slesh is going to take him down, but now it's a 3v4 as the blue players do look to try and fight back in from Garage, but they get forced out eventually. And once again, TF2Easy come out on top with an Ubercharge advantage from this. They're 2 down, but it looks like League of Shadows are just too slow to really go off of that.
Yeah, that play by Nubby was really good to pick off Delhi. As we're heading into Garage here, the side of TF2Easy, they're going to move in with their Uber advantage, but right now it just seems that their flank is taking space. There we go, Moralexi busts through the choke and gets all the ground there. Soldiers on the side of League of Shadows are just, yeah, it looks like they're going to be leaving, but the spam. Delhi's going to get caught. Yeah,
the spam was so focused and colossal from TF2Easy. They catch Delhi here. It's going to be a definite bust from Garage now. No stickies to worry about. Josh has already gotten through, but the entire rotate is coming actually around to this right-hand side with him. They're putting 2 soldiers, but they're just not getting the frags. Josh and Nubby are going to be busting and taking both of those soldiers down with them, and the Ubers come out for both teams now. Flick is caught in, tries to rush down Nasboy just to try and salvage something, but is not going to get anything in the end. And tf2easy already going to be capping up second, running into last with this 6v3 advantage. This is a rough one. The spawns aren't going to be here for another couple of seconds. They're already on the point. June's the last one up. The spawners don't even make it out the door. tf2easy with the first round in 4 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a pretty quick round as far as Granary goes, and they already have this 1 round advantage here. It's a nice, comfortable position to be in here for tf2easy. Nasboy on the rollout again, opting to go choke. Gonna be watching Deli, who does this time. He doesn't roll out to the garage areas we saw him do in the last mid, but gonna take a more conventional stance here, taking the left-hand side. Soldiers already bombing through. Seems like they've cleared garage already. Yeah, they spotted both soldiers bombing. It's just a matter of taking them out, and Josh is living for quite a long time. Does eventually get taken down, but more Alexi on the high ground. He's putting in some decent damage. June was fairly weak, 40 HP, but that was a really nice mid there from League of Shadows. They countered Josh and Navi really, really well.
June was that weak throughout almost the entire fight. Very good survivability from her, just to put as much distance as possible between her and the person threatening her at any given time. tf2easy never able to pick up that frag when she was so weak, and Josh just gets destroyed rolling out into that sticky trap as well. So it's a 5v6 last push with full ad. If there's ever an opportunity for League of Shadows to get around, here it is. Deli bombing way forwards, does get onto the sentry gun. That's going to be going down straight away. They will also get the frag onto Nubby here. Flick trying to play the point. The sticks do get dead. Now it's available to be played, and all the frags are coming the way of League of Shadows.
Yeah, but they still need to cap it out. There you go, Nasboy and Josh. They were so weak, they get taken down in the end. Only losing Flick. Really nice, actually, from League of Shadows. They now tie this up, and with such a good mid, it will be interesting to see how tf2easy adapt, because Nubby and Josh weren't successful last time. It will be interesting to see what they change. Will they potentially try a different angle here to the mid fight? It will probably be wise to assume that Deli is in fact going to opt for choke, but he actually rolls out fast up top. Nasboy opting to go from the choke side, and yeah, this time it's a different bomb coming the way. Oh, it was a brilliant decoy there from Josh and Nubby's still alive as well at the tail end of it. He's going to pick up one more frag, potentially, as he does beef with that one rocket, and Flick is still alive against 2 scouts. I mean, surely he's going to get taken down here, gets juggled in the air by the scatter guns, and that decoy play was just excellent. The one soldier going in, he was just kind of standing on the floor, dragging everyone's attention just for Nubby to coming at the end there, and yeah, really well played.
Yeah, now once again tf2easy with a very easy look into last here with 100% Uber. They will have a sniper up against them. Scar, actually, this is almost exactly what we saw last time, rolls out into that sticky trap of Nasboy, so a 5v6 once again, the sentry and the sniper up on the right hand side. tf2easy going to be taking this one forwards.
Yeah, and with no soldiers on the pipes, it's going to be difficult here to shrug off this aggression. Gazzy already gets so much cap time. Soldier bombs through, doesn't quite land the rockets though, and Gazzy eventually gets taken down with the rest of his team. So a successful hold there for League of Shadows. It didn't really seem like the positioning was in their favor, but with that heavy, they kept him alive. And
yeah, it's just the complete different terms of attitude for both of those teams in their last pushes. You saw in basically the exact same scenario, Deli went deep on the sentry, forced them all into spawn. They killed the players that were behind the Uber very quickly, whereas tf2easy basically took 6 players to the point, and yes, they got that first 80% of cap time, but the blocks were so good, and all the frags then came out for League of Shadows. As we are into mid already, there's a lot of damage being put out onto tf2easy's players. They are being forced back, but Gazzy's picked up a frag onto Deli, and he is going to be able to get out of there. He does get chased down by Flick eventually. Morale is still trying to bust here, and June could just take a deep Uber onto Flick, but Flick's already seen them back out. He's got the call that they're too far to chase anything with this Uber. And League of Shadows could have really punished hard there if they had just been a bit more reluctant and popped off a bit sooner. Josh does pick up Zoe on the flank, might even get Scar here too. It's a huge 2k that leaves this combo high and dry on the left-hand side of Yard. This is going to be terrible for them when they do eventually have to take this fight.
yeah, it looked so good for them, but as you mentioned, the flag just got absolutely crushed, and That is going to spell the end for this second take here.
Josh is going to get Deli 2 on mid. Josh has just been rampant behind enemy lines, and they get the medic on the back of the Uber, use their own Uber off to find these two scouts here. Zoe's going to get away with it, but Josh just made such a huge play there, both before that Uber, just to put League of Shadows in the worst possible situation, and then to drop Deli right at the end of that fight, getting behind him onto mid. This is a masterclass from Josh right now, as Scar is going to try and bomb out, going to be chased down by a lot of players, does manage to live, and Slash putting in a headshot will slow down tf2easy a little bit.
Yeah, and the Uber advantage not being too huge, about 20% for Seeds, and they still have to take this second area. They, at the minute, they're just poking the shutter door. Deli has traps on the point, but it's only a matter of time until this gets broken, right? Because they can, if they want to, tf2easy can just either opt for the trade, but it seems like the spam is strong enough to ward
They're going with the dot
Shadows
push.
plays off anyway.
They're going so fast here. They don't even have second cap. They've just capped it now. They need to get this Uber out of June. She just about gets it and pops from time. They do already have 3 frags. Josh is going to be living dead already, and he does go down in the back lines on that sentry gun. So 4 down actually in the end for tf2easy. It was a very, very brave push for them, and the amount of distance between them and June, literally on complete opposite corners of last, there was no chance of getting that frag onto her in time. So there is going to be a dry push into mid with Zoe still down. It's kind of a 5v6 fight here for League of Shadows, but they've made all the space they need. Slash down very low, will get taken down, and I think League of Shadows should just leave now before they bite off more than they can chew.
Oh, Gazzy goes down to the pipe from Deli, but look at that, Nubby! It really is the soldiers here that are turning up now, and he just completely catches the rest of the players leaving that garage area. Zoe getting taken down late death.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Scar, for putting us on your pop there. That was embarrassing. 100% ad now. And yeah, as you say, the soldiers are just so perfect at noticing when League of Shadows are all blobbing up together and when they can just take the other door and get behind and wreak havoc. Both Nubby and Josh have some highlights on that now. Flick drops morale from the Uber. It's a good start for this last hold from League of Shadows. There's already cap time. They drop Nubby from capping it as well, and now the rebombs from Scar is going to pick up Nasboy. And this is a very, very good hold. They maintain an Uber charge advantage here as well onto second. They just need to not lose too many players chasing it.
Slash just denied the point so well, hit some amazing rockets from the high ground, hit a few directs to boot, and just securing the point there for his team, allowing them to cap up second and pick onto Josh as well. He was retreating, running for his life with the escape plan, but manages to get caught out there, so really good pick. It's just a matter of spotting the rest of these players as...
Nubby's gone all the way behind his teams too.
Nubby has been slivered his way behind, completely unspotted, and the pain train coming in. Nubby versus Scout, and you would favour Nubby there as he goes on to last. It's pretty much free here for him, and yeah, that's all it took. I was gonna say they need to be careful about where Nubby is, and turns out he was on their second.
So great from tf2easy. The block coming out from them forces off the Uber and blocks the point at the same time. So even when all of those players sack their lives away on mid, that Uber is just stopping them from being able to cap for just an extra few seconds. It gives Nubby so much time on last. Just excellent play from him to sneak behind, and for his whole team coming in with that block, knowing that they can throw everyone away. If they literally all die, it's worth it to block that and let Nubby get the cap and the round. So here we are into another mid. Scar and Slash going very, very high. Not landing on anyone in particular though, as Deli will go down. Nubby and Gaz have also met the same fate, as Josh is pretty much the last one in mid. Nas and Josh both deep, while Morale and Seeds rotate around the outside. They do now repush from up top. Slash is onto Seeds but doesn't have the frag, and Scar's bombed the wrong player. He could have finished off Seeds there, but instead goes for Josh. Now they get no kills for it. Just a bit of a cooperation fail at the end. If they all focus the same frag there, if they get Seeds down, then maybe that 100% Uber from June is going to wreak havoc on mid, but instead they get no frags for it.
Yeah, Nasboy coming in a bit clutch there with the Stickies from the low ground, and he puts Stickies directly behind Deli and forces the Uber. Sees it also has to pop just to get through the door here, so it's going to end up being a better Uber for the side of, well, it's going to be about equal. It's Nubby bombs onto June, takes him out. That was my bad. The Ubers were roughly equal, but getting through that choke point, even though you have the Uber to do so, they just got baited into it, and once again they just fell into the
We're relying on the Scar spy here now, and he does uncloak right next to Seeds. Seeds has spotted it though, everyone turns around instantly, and at the exact same time Slesh was bombing. Just as they had turned around and walked away from the choke to deal with Scar is when Slesh comes in, so he ends up landing on nothing. It's another really impressive timing fail for League of Shadows. So unfortunate that neither of those plays work out in the end, and now it's a plus 50 for tf2easy to run this one into second.
Yeah, I mean, it's granary at the end of the day, and you need to make sure you... Oh, the Stickies above the door takes down Josh, trying to get through the right-hand side of Yard and into the garage, and tf2easy with his 100% Uber. Frag's being traded Scar for Ghazi. One soldier down on last. Not a bad prospect for tf2easy, but they still are losing Josh and Ghazi themselves. They're still trying to make a fight of this though, and Nasboy does bomb in. Ubers gets traded out on Nasboy in such a rough position, he gets stuck on the pipe. So unfortunate, but he was pretty much dead meat anyway. Just hung out to dry from C to... I mean, they trade the Ubers, they're not in a terrible position here for tf2easy. It looks like Scar is making a second attempt on the spy and making his way through the connector
Did he
area.
catch spam there? He's a bit damaged.
Yeah,
Did they see him?
I'm not too sure. I didn't see whether or not he caught...
I think he must have just caught a sticky or something. It doesn't look like they know though. He didn't shimmer. So they do still have Scar in lunchbox here.
Yeah, he's just waiting for the pack, and I think he's in a position to make something happen here. Oh, he does cloak again, so he's not quite feeling that angle. Oh, he does get spotted now. They must have heard the cloak there from that small room, the sound coming from that.
tf2easy might just go from this. They know it's a 5v6 while that guy's on spy, so Josh is trying to take a fight on the left, but unable to get anything from it. Scar still just wasting his own time here, running around on Yard. Everybody knows about him, but he doesn't really have an opportunity to get out, as in fact, just as I say that, he does manage to squirm out of there.
Yeah, that was a rough one. The soldiers of Josh and Nubby were just standing on the packs, ready to just fire as soon as they saw one of them disappear, or if they bumped Scar at any point. So yeah, absolutely no way that was going to be working out. Nubby does go for a sack in the meantime. Just ends up being a little bit of a trade, but tf2easy, they know that there's one soldier down, one soldier less to deal with on this last. That does favour them here, as they're just poking the shutter doors. They're going to take their time with this. They don't need the rush. 3 minutes left. They can afford to just poke here, and Nasboy setting up the defensive stickies on the shutter. They have this right side under their control, and League of Shadows are almost giving it to them here. They're almost just forfeiting that position. Finally, they have a soldier to lock off that door, but it's only one single soldier, and Nasboy is relentless in laying down this spam. Okay, it seems things have stabilized. Josh and Nubby gonna try and do something from top here. Oh, Nubby does get taken down by the spam from Slash. Flick getting the frag onto Josh as well, so the two soldiers...
Gaz.
Oh, Ghazi as well dying. Yeah, 3 picks. The only 3 players left have been spotted in the shutter door, so tf2easy, if they want to go for a trade, they absolutely can, but...
Gaz did not get the memo that 2 of his players had just died. He's in that corner for way too long. Basically a free pickup as soon as they start pushing, which obviously they would after 2 players down. And no one's actually watching Scar and drop down right now. He's managed to get all the way back here. This could be an opportunity for him. They're gonna come up lunchbox now. Scar's gonna be right behind them. Does he have trigger discipline? He does. He's onto Seeds, and he gets the force off easily. Nice play from Scar, not shooting at the first player he sees. And now Scar will get taken down. The counter sack is in from Josh. Pops June sky high, but it's a beautiful serve from her. Does eventually have to force from the other soldier. And now tf2easy are 3 players down. They've got an Uber running at them. Flick chasing these frags out. They're gonna have to get back to mid. And Deli is sky high chasing this one. Catches Nasboy in. And
wow.
They trade demos. It's worth it for League of Shadows here.
Absolutely worth it. And shout out to Flick. He is doing a great job of just leading his team here. Something that was lacking from Flick teams in the past was a sense of direction, and they definitely have it right now as a banner is being popped by Slash. Is the banner going to come in clutch here? Nubby getting traded out from Zoe. The banner's still ineffective, but it's onto the scout. Oh, Flick with the resistance is able to take the 1v1 versus Gazi with heals, easily take him out. Does get dispatched by more Alexi. It is a bit of a rough one here as tf2easy are stuck in Garage. They do have the classes, but they don't have the space, and they don't want to give it up. More Alexi with the beam. He's so efficient with these heals.
95%. Oh, June just gets in time. Nicely done.
Can they catch anyone with this though? Oh, they do get seeds. Excellent pick. But they need to make sure now that June stays alive, and they do have a spawner of Slash coming onto mid here, but the spawners are very slow. tf2easy are probably going to get this mid
They haven't checked Nubby again. Again, this can't happen again. Nubby's dropping down. Gets onto June, and it's a free frag. This is the second time League of Shadows has fallen for this. You've got to take your time. You've got to check the lamp. Nubby, with an absolutely free med pick, has turned this fight around. Now it's going to be them with the Ubercharge advantage once Seeds gets to mid, but Scar is fighting, trying to stop them from taking it in the first place. Morale now has his heals with him, and it's a scout and a medic versus a soldier on 50 HP. We know who wins that one. And League of Shadows, it's just... We've seen how slow and methodical tf2easy is whenever they have that opportunity into mid. They've lost about a 20% advantage just from checking every spot, but it's so worth it to not have that happen. And League of Shadows does it twice. Josh bombing through does get taken down. Things are slowing down a little bit now, but tf2easy still with the advantage just in rounds alone here.
Oh, Flick going down to Nubby. He was a little bit overextended there from the rest of his team. He just gets dropped in the end. June retreats, opting to leave the choke. So tf2easy, they have this scout pick now. It looks like they're making their way into Garage just to spam here. I don't think anything too drastic is going to happen unless something big happens on the flank. Oh, that looks like Josh wanted to make a move there as he does actually bust through. Goes for a high bomb, but it doesn't really look like it's going to be too successful. But what a rocket onto Zoe. Like a single point of spam would have finished that frag and got the trade, but honestly you want something juicier. He tried to make the best out of a bad situation, and the trade comes in on mid. That's a nice trade there. Scar does take down Nubby, so that is a key pick there into this mid fight that they don't have to worry about. And Slash with a nice bomb on top does take down Gazi, and they have the positioning on the side of League of Shadows. They just need to make sure that the threat of this more Alexi backup is not going to halt them.
And the spawner of Josh is going to do exactly that. He's just spamming down onto them on the mid. Morale's turn to make the play this time on the back lines. Just going to get the cap in the nick of time. He knows they're on his tail though, so instead of going to last, he's going to opt to just bank what he's got, run out to mid and meet with his team. They lose second again immediately, but it's so worth it just not to lose mid, which was pretty much inevitable if Morale doesn't make that play. The 40% advantage still in the favor of June, and Gaz is on the back lines as well. Scar's going to be trying to chase it, but he's got backup from Josh now. Gazzy and Josh will take the flank, and this is going to be a horrible collapse. June, 99%, just gets it in time to save their own life, but they do, in fact, clean up Josh and Gaz as well. So throughout all of this, they've managed to cling on, but just barely. Seeds now has the advantage. Will they try and take this fight just before he gets it, or try and get the force here?
It looks like they're going to just opt to take the point here as tf2easy. They're going for a rotate here. Do they expect this on the side of League of Shadows? It looks like they're not actually. They just completely forfeit their position. And Slash, though, he does curve around the crates for a nice bomb, and it seems like it was a bit of a bait there just to get the force. Dude, and they do leave with this.
They've got the force already, and Scar's still on Spy. Is he just going to backcap this, or like, what's the game plan here? It looks like he is just going for the backcap, the cheeky Spy backcap, but there's not much more you can do. He's not going to win this 1v1 versus Gazi. He does have a revolver, but it's not the best gun in the game by any means. He's just managed to bring them back. I mean, this alone is an okay play, I suppose. I do still think he's going Spy way too much, but it's okay. He's brought them back to mid. There's an overcharge advantage for his team at the very least.
Yeah, I would agree there. It does get cleaned up in the end, and Deli dies to a trap from Nasboy in the choke, and this just leaves Flick and June alone on the point, and although Flick has demonstrated good, abilities on the scout on the beam and just cleaning up frags. I mean, on his own, he's not going to be nearly enough to do anything there, and Seas has his own Uber to boot. It's just going to be a matter of League of Shadows trying to leave, but look at this. The two soldiers are already in a position to try and cut them off here. It seems like they are
June
going
and
to be...
Flick just can't leave. There's going to be no one on last. Yeah, they have to try for it, but they just lose their life either way. I mean, they're either out of the fight because they're on second, or they're out of the fight because they just have to die to try and get out. But there is now a 4v5. The heals do favor tf2easy as well. This is just a ticking time bomb for League of Shadows. Their spawners are going to be up in 2, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The spawners are actually in now. Gazi getting taken down. They've waited way too long to play the point. What is going on here? How are tf2easy throwing this away? They've had this under their thumb for the entire fight. They just had to stand on point.
But you saw they got split tf2easy. Like Gazi got picked off alone on the flank, and they just ended up, their combo was completely separate from one another, and they didn't have that, that. It just seemed like the teamwork, the dynamic between them just all got lost in the midst of that.
I cannot believe that's one of the simplest round conversions I've ever seen. I cannot believe they didn't just go forwards and kill the 3 players without heals or stand on point. And now the comeback is insane for League of Shadows. Look at this momentum. They've got all the way to mid already, completely clean, and they have a 60% advantage to boot. They're going to be able to get into yard for free as well here, most likely. They do force the players out. Now they can use this into second, and it's going to be a coast to coast. What a throw from tf2easy. In they come. League of Shadows making their way up top. Josh and Zoe have traded for each other as the frags come in.
Look at this Uber. Oh, it comes in. Doesn't even come in the end. That was wise actually to not use that. A bit optimistic. It could potentially work if the enemy team is not ready for it, but tf2easy are not going to fall for that one. So that is a good call there to not use it in the end. I was a bit worried there. In comes the sack though. 2 soldiers. They get denied fairly easy by the heavy of Gazi, and Flick just catches Nasboy. That is a huge pick. So
if they get Josh here too, they lose Deli for it. But Zoe's already into last. He's just threatening that back cap, so they have to chase him backwards. The spawns for both teams going to be up in a second. They are faster for League of Shadows, but much closer for tf2easy, so they'll be in the fight around the same time. That is an interesting one. The double sack just like that does not work on this map. You can't just double sack through a door when the enemy team is that far back and has a heavy. You really have to be baiting them close, doing something elsewhere first, and then getting your soldiers through in kind of an unexpected way. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see Scar sack and go spy here again. It just seems like the only play that League of Shadows can really wrap their head around at the moment.
Yeah, and tf2easy have opted to not go for a forward hold here on last, and as you said, that is going to make the double soldier sacks rather ineffective. League of Shadows have to use a different sort of approach to break this, and yep, they have indeed resorted to the double banners. So it's just a matter of building these up, and with Moralexi on sniper, he is going to be holding these long range angles, and these doors are going to be really, really frustrating to peek potentially. And is that a black box I see from Scar? Interesting choice here, as they're going to be trying to take down this gun on the left hand side. They have the space. Moralexi though finds the pick, so soldiers being traded out as Nubby goes down, and Uber's being exchanged. Slash going down. Is going to be a retreat here from League of Shadows. Flick was caught in the fight though, and it's not really looking good here. The spawns do favour them, but Flick, with that late Flick death and Slash not being able to spawn for another few seconds here, it's not fightable, and tf2easy
and here's
just
the Scar spy once again. I'm getting tired of saying it even at this point. Another attempt from Scar to try and salvage this one. Does have an uncloak ready and waiting. Seeds is going to be getting into choke. Slash is just bombing, making them turn, but Nubby's already onto Scar already. Once again, does finally die. And it just seems like League of Shadows... Oh, wait, whose banner is this? Looks like Josh is popping it out.
Yeah, here they go. The banner, they're going to force a fight here. Trying to... Flick, though, just completely runs circles around Gazi, killing him, even though he had the banner boost. And they're going to end up capping this point. Zoe and Slash going down in the end. Nubby getting traded out in Garage by Flick. Oh, but that is a huge amount of damage from Josh. These rockets are just so good, and the banner, you know, again, it works out for them because they're able to take the ground with it, but not the cleanest push, I'd say. It still favours them because they're now pushing into second, however, so I would say it was a
Oh,
success
and
in
Doe's
hindsight.
trapped by this Uber. They've got 90 seconds to turn this all around. They need to make some momentum happen here. They might pick off Josh in the shutter. This is exactly what they need, in fact, as League of Shadows could actually make something work here. They're unable to chase Seeds all the way out and get that frag, but at least they've got themselves off of second. They have
Nubby.
to dry push this.
Nubby.
They do check Nubby this time, finally learning from their mistakes, but there's 1 minute left on the clock. If they want any points, we need to see them cap up the round in that time, and they're all on the low ground capping this point. This is a perfect opportunity for a repush and a block. There's one frag apiece for the teams right now, only Flick left on the point. The respawners are rolling out for red, but Zoe's going to get taken down. This does not look like the best fight for League of Shadows, and they need it to be, and that's it. That's going to be the nail in the coffin. June, last one standing. It's over. 6 points for TF2Easy tonight, as we expected, but League of Shadows really taking it all the way. 2 close games.
Yeah, these were 2 very good games. I was glad to cast these 2 alongside yourself. And what a night it's been. I mean, as you said, it's a 3-1 scoreline, but it was pretty much a 2-1 in retrospect. And as you said, League of Shadows, it's so disappointing that they didn't get a single point out of that, because I feel like they deserved maybe a point, but, you know, I can't really say that. You either win some or you lose some, and unfortunately they lost, so they can't get any from this, but
it does feel like maybe, it's one of those games where you're like, oh, it's close, so they deserve something, but in the end, if you want to win, you've got to win, and they just were making so many weird plays and some really awful mistakes, especially on Granary here, not checking the lamp in 2022. Like, what's going on, man? There was also just their pushes into last. They clearly don't have strats for that I don't think they had really thought out what they were doing. There was one situation where they basically said, okay, we're just going to trade here, and it kind of looked like they were bombing the soldier through to make space to take a trade, and then just took the trade with no plan, even though the medic was actually pretty far, and it made the trade very difficult. A good team would have maybe tried doing that and then seen, oh, it's not worth it to take the Uber anymore. We'll like change our plan. We'll just turn this into a sack. We'll do another thing another time. But they hard committed to it. League of Shadows, they try to make a force happen when it's not going to, and end up with a way worse fight afterwards. They lose both of their soldiers, and they're getting caught leaving with the Uber. That's the sort of thing that you don't see out of the top teams. They're able to adapt much better when their strategies like that don't work out. And obviously just some little mistakes. We've mentioned the lamp enough, and Scar going spy 8 million times.
Yeah, I mean, we have the stats on screen, and from what I saw and what the stats show, Flick had a really, really good game, all things considered. Yes, though, like, you can you can get all the frags in the world, you can have the flashiest stats, but if you don't check your corners in that one instance, then, you know, that's a 1-round loss. All adds up, and despite that, though, he had a really, really good game. This is TF2Easy we're talking about, so arguably top 2 in Prem right now. So yeah, that's a good stat to write home about here. And Nasboy, though, that's pretty good. 350 DPM official. It's been a while since I've seen him go this huge.
Flick is in our chat as well. He does say they haven't scrimmed Granary at all, and that is kind of what it looked like. I didn't want to be harsh enough to just say that in case they had scrimmed it, but you look at the differences in the approach on last between both of these teams, and like how methodical they are just getting into points and out of points. Definitely was where most of the mistakes were coming from League of Shadows, but it's like definitely not a bad result for them if they haven't scrimmed Granary at all. If they do actually step up their game on this map, we could be seeing something a lot better out of them in the future, which is a good way of spinning it, I suppose.
Yeah, and again, we've already sang the praises of Nobby and Josh throughout this series, and I mean, the stats are pretty telling of how they did. They were just, constantly a threat. Every time they spawned, they were just they got themselves into a position where they could just the perfect position where they could just punish League of Shadows, and they were just being menaced. Like Nubby with the back cap was an excellent play with a Pain Train. Pain Train's something you don't normally see on Granary, but proving to be very, very successful there. Um,
Yeah,
and
the
Josh
pain
as
train's
well.
just
Yeah,
getting used more and more. I mean, we've seen so many Nubby and Opti backcaps with that weapon in the last few seasons.
yeah,
It's really great that TF2Easy are able to spot out the uh, the places where they can kind of poke a hole so easily, not only with backcaps, but with just getting players behind like their soldiers. That made all the difference so many times. And there's really not much we can say like that for the other side of League of Shadows. Their strat book basically consisted of Scar going on spy and not really doing anything with it.
yeah. Though I was impressed overall by Scar and Slash's mechanics and what they were able to do with what they had. I mean, their bombs were pretty solid. It's just that um, the TF2 easy soldiers uh, just kind of outshined them in that respect, just because they were able to engineer themselves so many plays. And but regardless, with what they did together, Slash and Scar, they did admirably, I would say. And um, I think if they sort their issues out with the granary, and not take this loss too much to heart, because they still have a few more weeks worth of Premiership action to overcome here. And I feel like you could take a positive spin out of this for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they do throughout the season against teams kind of more in their own tier. Teams like Noob Panzer and Top 5 are going to be the interesting teams for these guys to look for the results against. But we've been talking long enough. We've been delayed long enough by the 6 pauses on the first map. Thank you very much for sticking with us throughout everything, everyone in chat. And do you have any shout outs, Megalodon, before we go?
I don't believe I do. I'll just shout out Dum Tum, shout out Jumbo Rat for the Among Us games. I see some Among Us players in Twitch chat here. Um, I guess shout out Hempus as well for entertaining us for like 10 seconds in that in that poor situation we had.
Give us some valuable filler time in those
Yes.
6 pauses. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. There'll be more officials throughout the week. Of course, you can find them all on teamfortress.tv, and we will see you all later.